I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you.
Welcome back, everyone, to review Roundup. To get right into it, this was just a very busy month for me. So there are a couple movies that I intended to include for this month that I really wanted to see, but I just wasn't able to pack them in as far as time and schedule. Mainly Love Hurts. I heard that film got really bad reviews, and while that turned me off a little bit, I still wanted to give it a chance, but I just wasn't able to. So sadly, even though I might be able to see it down the line, it will not be able to be included for this list. So with that being said, I was still able to include 4 movies this month that I was able to see. And to varying extents, I enjoyed every single one of them. Overall, this was a huge improvement over last month, which was a surprise to me because much like January, February is usually a dump month. So to enjoy every single film that I was able to see to the extent that I did, shocking. So, like last time, I will go over each one from the one that I enjoyed the least, ending with the one that I enjoyed the most. So let's get right into it, starting with Last Breath. Now, full transparency, going into this movie, I knew nothing about the true story that this film was based off of. I only went in just knowing the movie, seeing the trailers. And I gotta say, for those who have seen this movie, I'm sure can back me up on this. Like, as someone personally who has nearly drowned a couple of times, the underwater effects in this movie, and all the times the dude was in peril when his air tube was undone and all, then he's just left down there by the pipes. Dude, I got fucking chills on the literal back of my spine, dude. Like, this wasn't even a horror film, and so far was the most tense and just riveting experience that I've had in a theater so far this year. And on top of that, all the performances were really good too. This is probably the best that I have seen Woody Harrelson do in a long time. You know me, I love him in his Zombieland shtick. And honestly, even though it's still relatively early in the year, I could see this being a contender for one of my favorites of the year. We just got to see how it goes. But as is, I'm gonna go with like a B- on this. Like, the only thing that's keeping it from like an A, honestly, are just a few pacing issues here and there, but in a way those are also sort of forgivable just because of how riveting the characters and the performances were. So I let it go a little bit, but pacing issues are still pacing issues, so I unfortunately got a docket for that. So there it is. Alrighty, going into what is definitely gotta be the weirdest fucking movie I have seen all year so far. Like, as Will Smith would put it, this would definitely rank like a 9.0 on my weird shit-o-meter. But I loved every single second of it. Osgood Perkins, The Monkey. His next film that at least I have seen after his mega hit with Longlegs. Now it's funny, because I go back and forth, at least I have been for a while, on whether I liked this or Longlegs more. I will say this, as far as just like a pure horror film, Longlegs easily wins. That was like one of the most jarring, uncomfortable experiences I've had in a theater and with a horror film probably since the first time I saw the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead. Like, and if you've seen the watch along we did on my channel, I love that movie. So it was just a uncomfortable movie, but in the best way. But just as an overall movie, what I would rewatch more. No dissing towards Longlegs. I love the fuck out of the movie, but I have a feeling I'd go for the Monkey just a bit more, just for pure entertainment value. It's pretty much just Final Destination if it were all done by a toy. And you add a little bit of Brothers Quarrel into that, and there you go. That's your movie. And it's really fucking weird, but I love the shit out of it. What the movie lacks in compelling characters, not to say that there aren't any compelling characters in this, it totally makes up for just the wild ass fucking Final Destination type kills and gore that we get in this. Like the biggest laugh I just got in the movie was either when the chick got friggin' blown up when jumping into the electrified pool, or at the very end, all the chicks in the bus getting all their heads taken off and all that. It's a hilarious movie. And also, this is just totally a me thing, but the babysitter chick at the beginning, when she gets killed and all that, again, totally just a me thing, but I totally thought that she looked like Kate Winslet. My girl Rose. Titanic, man. So the whole time I was making jokes with my friend who I was seeing this with and all that. Like when she gets her head cut off and all that. Oh yeah, this is because my friend, for context with this joke, right? Like my friend believes in the whole Titanic theory that Leo DiCaprio's character was a time traveler and all that. That whole theory. If you know it, you've heard it, then you probably know where I'm going with this. But because of that and all that, so I was joking to him, to my buddy in the theater, like when she got her head cut off, and all. So I was saying, oh yeah, this is one of the timelines that Jack traveled to where Rose was at, and saying like, that's for getting me killed, bitch. So it was a fun time. Again, like as a pure horror film, like Longlegs, easily the better movie for what it's going for. But at the same time, these are two different vibes, two different, well, not different genres, but yeah, two different vibes. And yeah, just as a general movie going experience, I could see myself rewatching The Monkey just a little bit more. So at the end of the day, much like Last Breath, there were a few pacing issues, especially in like the very middle of the film that kind of drug it down a little bit, a lot more than it did with Last Breath. So that takes it down a little bit. But once it gets to that third act, it just ramps up, and I was all for it. So I'll be generous. I will give this a B+. Like, in a way, just as an overall movie, even with the way it's made, Longlegs is definitely the better of Osgood Perkins' movies. And so far, I mean, I haven't seen everything he's done yet, but so far, he hasn't lost me. And I am very much looking forward to the next movie that he has coming up. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called The Keeper. I might be wrong, and if I am, then feel free to correct me in the comments. But either way, really looking forward to the next movie he has coming out later this year. Cannot wait. Alright, this is gonna piss so many people off. I can tell. But I don't give a fuck, because I thought that Heart Eyes was a ton of fun. Now, generally speaking, this is a more straightforward, basic, typical type slasher film compared to how bonkers and just out there and just how much the Monkey goes for it. But I just gotta be honest, just on a general entertainment level, I enjoyed Hard Eyes a whole lot more. As basic as it is, and I'll even give it this, even though the Monkey is also a lot gorier than this, what really did it for me was the chemistry between the two leads. Now, Mason Gooding we already know how much fun he is in the Scream movies. I loved his character in 5 and 6. And the chick, I'm sorry I'm blanking on her name, but I know I've seen her in a few other things, but I thought she was really likable here too, and I really bought their slow building romance. Now, the only thing, literally, the only thing that was keeping this from being my favorite film of the month was that, unfortunately, I figured out one of the killers at the beginning of the movie. Yes, one of the killers. There's multiple killers in this. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The scene in the beginning where all the cops are examining the crime scene of the kill in the very opening of the film, when the main cop chick and all that, they're like, because all the cops are like, who could it be, like a guy or a girl? And she's like assuming, and she says like, oh, assuming it's a dude or a woman or something. But that line she said tipped me off for the rest of the movie, and I was both thinking like, please do not be this obvious, while also thinking it could be an intentional misdirect. Because we've seen the original Scream do that. We've seen a bunch of these whodunits do that, and more often than not, they ended up throwing me off. So I was like, please don't be that obvious. And unfortunately, and it is also my biggest negative with the film also, is that it was that obvious. It was the cop chick and her lover, whoever it was. Their motives, I didn't mind too much. I guess you could say it was technically a lack of motive. They do it just because they enjoy it. Like, kind of like Stu in the first Scream. You know, it's like, it was fun, basically. Like that sort of shit. So I didn't mind that side of it. You know, I was cool with that. It would just let crazy be crazy. But I would have enjoyed the third act so much more if I had the thrill of being shocked by the reveals. But unfortunately, the main one, at least, because I'll admit the one killer that they killed in the park, the one that was going after them in the drive-in, I'll admit that part didn't get me, so it threw me off in that aspect at least. But then they had to keep it going, and big shock that the chick was in on it all along. Like, I was like, fuck, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. So, but nevertheless, it was a fun whodunit slasher all the same. You know, I do think this heart eyes concept, killing couples on Valentine's Day, that's an interesting slasher concept. Dare I say it? Maybe more interesting even than the killer and the concept of My Bloody Valentine. Now keep in mind, I love the fuck out of that movie. Both the original and even the remake. Yeah, I like the remake too. But I think I'm more interested in this concept. And if we're going to get a sequel, I honestly wouldn't mind it. Because I think maybe, much like how Scream always had different people in the costume and all that, you could kind of maybe do something with this. So, we'll see. But, as is, flaws aside, I really dug the fuck out of this movie. And I'm going to give it a B+. It would have been a possible A, maybe even an A-, if I just didn't figure out one of the killers in the beginning. Like, seriously, like, because that can sometimes, like, not fully ruin it, but to an extent ruin some of the fun of watching a whodunit the first time, because you want that mystery, you want that just not knowing, being shocked at the very end, and for as much as I enjoyed it, I didn't get that side of it, so yeah, sorry. Alright, if my opinions on Hard Eyes didn't piss people off, then this one, being my general favorite of the month, is really gonna piss people off. But I'm sorry, I gotta be honest, it's just what I had the most fun watching during the month of February. Captain America, Brave New World. Now, I am a huge Marvel fan, especially for the MCU. More so for the Infinity Saga than anything else, but I've already went over that in a whole almost 3-hour long video. But, man, I just gotta say it. I haven't been feeling Marvel that much lately. Aside from Deadpool and Wolverine and some other genuinely great ones like Wakanda Forever, No Way Home, I just haven't been feeling them lately. And it's gotten to the point where I have actually been taking at least like a 2-year break from Marvel just because I could not stand the burden of having to literally watch every single show, every single movie, just to understand the new thing. It was taking a toll on me, dude, so I just needed to get away for a little bit. But once I heard that the tires were finally turning for this one, I decided I finally wanted to get back into things because I do like Sam Wilson. I was really invested in his journey to wanting to feel worthy for the Shield and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I've been invested in him taking on the mantles ever since Steve handed him the Shield at the end of Endgame. And yeah, there were problems with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I could go all in on some of the flaws there, but generally speaking, I liked Sam's particular arc and journey about not feeling like he was worthy at first for the Shield. So it's just a thing that's grown on me over time, and I really liked how they did it. So we finally come here to Captain America Brave New World, and I gotta say, despite all the reshoots, despite even some of the drama, and especially the fact that I still to this day have not felt that anything aside from Guardians 3 has proven to be genuinely narratively necessary, this is one of the better things I've seen from Marvel post-Endgame in quite a long time. It's not perfect. It is a film with a ton of problems. You can tell where the reshoots are, especially with Giancarlo Esposito's character, because it has been out there that it was supposed to be a different villain. He was brought in pretty much almost last minute. But even then, I will say, as far as his character, I liked him. I liked his fight scenes. I liked his general presence. I mean, it's Giancarlo Esposito. You know what you're going to get with Giancarlo Esposito. But even then, I actually thought the overall story and setup was pretty good too. We have Ross as president. He's been president for like a few months. He's trying to recruit Sam to try and bring back the Avengers. And we see that Ross, up to this point, is actually trying to make up for the sins of his past and all that. And I don't know if it was just the fact that Harrison Ford was just delivering a great performance, or if the writing really was that good. I mean, granted, I do think both things are a legit factor, but what they tried to do with Ross here, I was down for it. I legit really genuinely bought into Ross's arc in this, and I was invested. If anything, Ross was genuinely my favorite part of the movie. And despite it not being as long a movie as you'd think a Captain America movie would have been, all the pacing and leading up to his transformation at the end into Red Hulk and all the stuff that's revealed about what he was doing to the leader and all that, keeping him locked up and all that, I liked it. You could tell that despite him trying to make up for his past is going to come back to bite him, and I thought it was really, really interesting. And yeah, you can tell that the only reason they made it a Captain America movie is because they don't have the rights to fully have the rights to the Hulk, so they can't make a full Hulk movie. So what's the next best thing we can do? Oh yeah, mix it all up with Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. Despite that, I liked what we got. I do like Sam's arc in this. He's been at it for a while. He's training his buddy to be the new Falcon, and even after all this time, he's still feeling doubts about his new mantle and all of his responsibilities. Can he truly live up to Steve Rogers? Can he truly step up to be the leader that the new Avengers need? The hero that their country needs. And I can get to an extent why some people have sort of an issue with it. Like, didn't he already learn all this in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, having all this doubt and all that? I mean, if you really think about it, there were times that Steve Rogers had doubts too. Not so much doubting whether or not he can continue being Captain America, but just general doubts about whether he can get the job done. There were times where he doubted himself. He wasn't always confident, but he persevered. He did what he could. And that's what Sam's doing here too. So I was trucking along with it really well. And honestly, while I do wish they wouldn't have spoiled Red Hulk being in the marketing, like just revealed all that in the marketing, I do think you could have had a genuinely effective twist here. Like, oh shit, this is what Stearns is trying to do? Make him a Hulk, because that's what Ross has always hated. Make him the monster he always hated, the monster he was always hunting and all that. And the Incredible Hulk, I thought that was maybe not like a brilliant, genius, masterclass writing, but it could have been an effective twist, and it's at least something I wouldn't have seen coming. So I feel like there's a legit mystery they could have built up here. Like, what is Stearns up to? Like, what does he want with Ross at the end of the day? What's he gonna do? So if they had just found a way to work the trailers into like that kind of mystery aspect, like, all right, the leader's back, what's his plan? What's he gonna do? Rather than just pretty much reveal what it's going to be at the end of the movie. So yeah, despite all that, it is a movie I really enjoyed. Is it one of the absolute best MCU films, factoring in everything and not just the post-Endgame stuff? It's higher up there. It's definitely in the higher half, sort of, but one of the absolute best. I'll say this. It comes just short of it. I didn't love it, but I do think with some tweaks here and there in the editing and all that, and maybe make it a little bit longer so you could flesh things out a little bit more, maybe it honestly genuinely could have been. But as is, I liked it enough. I guess in a way I'm one of the film's few defenders. So I'll go... Oh, man, what am I going to give it? You know what? I'll give it a B. Part of me wants to give it an A just because of how much I really liked Ross in this movie. Like, that stuff on its own, that's A material. But as is, pretty darn good for what it is, given all of the behind-the-scenes issues, the messy production, the rewrites, the reshoots. It's pretty darn well put together and well paced for the most part. So, totally not the disaster that it both could have been, and as far as what some of the news outlets were having us think it was going to be. So, I'm sorry, it gets a thumbs up from me. Like, I'd say go still see it in theaters while you can, if you haven't. I'd say the chances are you'll end up getting more than what you honestly think you're going to get. And that wraps up February for this section of Review Roundup. I want to thank everybody for their continued support and all the views. It means the world to me, as always. And just as a little treat, a little tease for what's coming up. Because this year is the 20th anniversary of a certain Star Wars movie, here at the end of May, you will finally see my definitive ranking of the Skywalker saga. So get ready, because it's going to be crazy. And as always, also, be prepared for the next review roundup, where, I just gotta say, if you thought some of my opinions here were controversial, you ain't seen nothing yet. As always, though, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe if you want to see more. I want to thank all my viewers for their continued support, likes, and views. And I'll see you next time.